From K2 News, this is breaking news.
We do have some breaking news and new information now on that 36,000-acre substation fire. The Wasco County Sheriff's Office now says one person has died in that fire. They say a man was found near a burnt tractor, and deputies believe he was killed when he tried to dig a fire line. His name is not being released right now. And we can also tell you this afternoon, our crews are seeing gusty winds continue. Dave Selesky just telling us almost 40 miles an hour there. And they're seeing more smoke in areas of Sherman County where this fire is headed.
We do have team coverage from Central Oregon. We want to begin with K2's Keaton Thomas live in the city of Morrow. So, Keaton, what is the latest there?
Well, you know, as you kind of just mentioned, we've seen more smoke here over the past few hours, both to our north and to our south. It's just as gusty as it has been really all day out here. Parts of Morrow now under level 3 evacuation as well. And I should add that crews are right now worried whether or not this fire is going to move out of the Deschutes River Canyon and then be pushed more by wind. I also want to show you what's actually being burned right now. It's, again, this really dry stuff. It's on the hills here behind us. It's the grass, it's the wheat fields, it's the scrub grass. I should add now the primary focus of the firefighters is protecting the structures that this fire is moving towards. Here's an example. Crews from Hillsborough are working to protect communications tower outside of Grass Valley. Of note, at that location is a large propane tank. Now, as we move through the afternoon, this is really crunch time for fire crews, because yesterday, this is about when the fire made a huge run in the gusty conditions yesterday, and now they're worried that that could happen again here today.
We saw this fire make an 18-mile run yesterday. So I think that that's a prime example of what this fire could do, possibly. We have more resources than we had before, so hopefully we can stop it. But as always, wildfire is very, very dependent on us getting the weather that we need.
Now, we don't know the cause of the fire yet. That is still under investigation. And as you said, we now know of at least one death, a man trying to make a fire line. And fire officials don't have any containment numbers to share right now either, because of the terrain that's burning and how and what type of fuels are burning. Now, obviously, this fire started in Wasco County. Firefighters are monitoring what's happening over there, but really their primary focus is on where this fire is headed, and that is here in the Sherman County area. We're live in Morrow. I'm Keaton Thomas, K2 News.
All right, what a battle they have ahead of them over there. Keaton, thank you. Here's a look at the current evacuations now. The red section is level 3, which means go. The yellow section is level 2. That means be set to leave at a moment's notice. And the green section you see there is level 1, or get ready, and that's when folks should start making an evacuation plan.
We do want to go right now to meteorologist Dave Selesky. What are the wind and fire conditions right now?
They're very bad. As a matter of fact, we're seeing gusty winds right now in the Dalles. The winds right now are stronger this afternoon than they were just 24 hours ago. There you see the current wind speeds in the Dalles. They're out of the west-northwest at 23 miles an hour. That's the sustained wind speeds. We're seeing gusts now 36 miles an hour, so getting high up into the upper 30s at this time. And again, we've got the big problem here is the difference between the west side of the Cascades and the east side of the Cascades. That yellow number you see right there, that's the barometer reading. We have lower pressure on the east side of the Cascades in the Dalles than we do on the west side, where it's 30.12. So we have high pressure west, low pressure to the east. That causes strong flow down the gorge. That's giving us those 25, 35 plus mile per hour winds that have been blowing now all afternoon and now in towards the early evening hours throughout the gorge and into the Columbia Basin. That's what is fanning these flames right now, which is making it so difficult for firefighters to get a grip on this fire. That plus very hot temperatures and low humidity. It's in the low 90s right now still on the east side of the Cascades, and humidity levels are in the low to mid-teens at this time. Now, the winds will let up a little bit later on this evening. Here we are at about midnight. They'll slacken off in the Dalles to sustain wind speeds around 9 miles an hour. Even letting up into the early morning hours around 3, 4, 5 miles per hour by about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Great news there. The problem is those winds again accelerate going into late morning and into the afternoon tomorrow on Thursday, with sustained wind speeds once again on Thursday between 20 and 25 miles an hour. And that means wind gusts again upwards of 30 to 35 miles an hour. So hence we still have the red flag warning up for extreme fire conditions east of the Cascades, all of the Columbia Basin and for a good portion of Central Oregon as well. And that'll stay up through about 9 o'clock tomorrow evening before conditions begin to settle down a little bit as far as the winds letting up and some cooler air finally getting on to the east side of the Cascades. We'll talk more about our local forecast. That for you in about 10 minutes, plus tracking the very latest in this devastating wildfire out towards the east area of the Dalles. Back to you guys.
Okay, Dave, thank you. And now to that devastation and near devastation left behind from the fire. Dozens of buildings and at least one home are destroyed. K2's Bob High is live at the Red Cross evacuation shelter in the Dalles. Bob, you met a family whose home caught fire yesterday. People managed to save it.
That's right. A relative of theirs actually lost their home, they say, but the Ernest family thought they were going to lose theirs too, especially when the fire actually got inside their home. But a heroic effort saved it. Fire captured from Chopper 2 shows buildings on the Ernest family's 5-acre property exploding in flames, the wind-driven fire acting like a blowtorch in the hot weather. Judy Ernest's home of 27 years was right in the raging fire's path.
I started off going to a neighbor's and helping her because it was near her house, and then my son called me and said I better get home. So I went home and I started loading up animals, and sheriff's office came in. I'm grateful for their help. They helped me load up horses and get them out of here. And then I think right after we left is when it just came in.
And this is where the fire, it was settled right against the house.
Mackenzie Ernest walks near the basement window where the fire reached inside the family's home. Mackenzie's father and some neighbors rushed back in to put out the fire, not once, but twice.
They wouldn't have been here and paying attention like they were. The house would have been a complete loss. So I've been out to help on fires, but it's never, I feel like it's affected as many people as this one has. It's really just like wiped through here, wiped through. Family relative just completely took down their house.
A mailbox stands at the entry to one property just down the road where firefighters believe one home was burned, but they've been too busy protecting other homes to confirm what was lost here. The Ernests now fear for their neighbor farmers whose crops went up in flames just at the start of the wheat harvest and lost equipment they need to bring that harvest in. Authorities cordoned off the east side of Highway 197 just south of the Dalles, where they believe the substation fire started. A neighbor dropped off hay the Ernests can feed their horses after losing the feed they'd stored. Knowing what they've been through, they worry about those being evacuated now.
When this happened, I haven't really left here, so we've just been dealing with this and just hearing by word of mouth of what other people are going through.
The Ernests tell me they hope that insurance will cover most, if not some, of what they've lost. Live in the Dalles, Bob High, K2 News.
All right, Bob, thank you for that. We can tell you that history is also being lost to the flames. One of the buildings to burn down, the Charles E. Nelson House. This is an iconic property that's arguably one of the most photographed homes in all of Central Oregon. The home has been empty for years now, but it was built in the early 1900s by one of the original homesteaders. It has long stood as a testament to the past. All that remains now is a burned out shell.
Stay with K2 News for continuing coverage of the wildfires burning in Oregon. When we're not on the air, we post updates on our website, KATU.com. The substation fire is also making national news. ABC's World News Tonight will have a report coming up at 5:30. More breaking news now. A water rescue effort is underway in the Willamette River. Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue tells K2 News 911 dispatchers received a call from someone who told them a father went under the water near the Wheatland Ferry and then never came back up. A dive team is headed to the scene just northwest of Salem. We will update the story when we get more information.
We do have some other news now. A person is in custody, but the scene remains very active right now in Beaverton after a police chase turned into a crash, which ended with a car flying into that pond you see. It's affecting traffic in the area of Southwest Teal and Murray Boulevards. K2's Chris Lytle joins us live at the scene of the crash with more. And Chris, you just spoke with police and learned more about the driver's injuries?
Steve, I did. The suspect collided with another vehicle. The suspect's car, you can see there on the left, that dark-colored SUV ended up in the pond. The innocent driver of that red Lexus, police tell me she's a 66-year-old woman from Tigard. You can see how badly damaged her car is. Firefighters had to come in and actually cut the roof off of that car. She was rushed to the hospital with what we're told is serious injuries. Beaverton police officer Jeremy Shaw Shaw says both the suspect and his passenger were taken to the hospital with injuries as well. Shaw says when they are released from the hospital, they will be taken into custody and booked. Police identified the suspect as 26-year-old Chase Larazabal and his passenger as a 35-year-old woman. Police say Larazabal was wanted on 3 misdemeanor theft warrants. They tried to stop him last week, but he ran. Officer Shaw says they did not pursue him at the time because he only had minor warrants. This time they did. That was when officers were called to the intersection of Erickson and Larson around 2:15 this afternoon for a suspicious vehicle. Police officers recognized Larazabal, tried to stop him. They say he tried to ram police cars, and so this time they gave chase. Speeds got up to 80 miles an hour on Southwest Murray Boulevard.
We weigh whether or not we should pursue or not pursue. If it was just the warrants again today, we probably wouldn't have pursued him. But trying to actually ram our patrol cars, assault a public safety officer, that really ramps up the game. We wanted him for a felony.
Well, the chase ended when Larazabal slammed into the woman's car. His SUV crashed into a concrete wall and rolled into Murray Hill Pond. Witnesses say he punched out the window and tried to swim away, but surrendered when police pulled out their guns. Now, several roads remain closed. We want to warn commuters during rush hour. Southbound Murray between Osprey and Shoals Ferry Road remains closed. Southwest Teal is closed at Murray. The good news is, though, is northbound Murray Boulevard is open. Live in Beaverton, Chris Lytle, K2 News.
All right, Chris, thank you. Want to show you something happening now from our bank cam. You see a whole lot of white smoke there. What we're hearing now is that is a brush fire from the St. John's Bridge area. This is near the University of Portland. No word on the extent of this fire yet, but we've talked about it for several days now. It is extremely dry out there. And of course, we'll watch this one from our bank cam, a fire near the University of Portland.
2 men are behind bars tonight accused of sexually abusing a teenage girl, and police are concerned there could be more victims. Christopher Iverson's from Portland and Chan Huang from Grants Pass. They were arrested after a parent reported their underage daughter was having sex with adult men. Detectives say Huang met women online and offered to pay them for sex, then secretly recorded their interactions and used the video as blackmail. If you or someone you know is a victim, call the Washington County Sheriff's Office.
Also, a man who works as a park ranger assistant is accused of touching a young girl at a park in Lane County. David Buchanan was arrested on Saturday after allegedly touching the girl at the Jasper State Recreation site where she was with her family in a large group. After additional investigation, deputies learned Buchanan matched the description of a man who reportedly exposed himself to 2 girls at Dexter Lake last month. The Oregon Parks Department has placed Buchanan on unpaid leave.
Well, a local high school student is making headlines for his take on liberal Portland. Still ahead, why he's concerned about conservative voices being shut out of the political debate.
Plus, choked out by police, why a Washington man says the money he got from a settlement is not enough.
No secret that political discourse has taken a turn for the worse in recent years. Liberals and conservatives, even those in the middle, are fighting with each other more than ever.
Now, one local high school student is making headlines for trying to fix all that. K2's Lincoln Graves is live in News Control with the story. What's he saying, Lincoln?
Well, he's not asking for anything revolutionary, Steve and Deb. He's advocating for what we've all heard before, listening to each other, respecting each other, learning from each other. But he is getting attention for how young he is and for how articulate he was in a recent editorial. Grant High School senior Oliver Klein's guest column appeared in last Sunday's Oregonian. It's slowly gaining attention across the state and country. He knows Portland is a reliably blue area, but he fears conservative political thought is being silenced at his school, mainly because of peer pressure.
I'm pretty progressive myself. I'm a classical liberal. So this peer pressure culture isn't really targeting me. But I feel like if conservatives today are being silenced, what's protecting me tomorrow?
Well, as you heard him say, Oliver is a self-described liberal. He calls himself fairly progressive. He's only 17 and says he wasn't that interested in the 2016 election during the campaign. But he was stunned by President Trump's victory and says he wanted to understand why his supporters voted for him. He says Trump's victory, even though he didn't want it, has spurred him to seek out more respect for conservative thought. Now, coming up at 6, we're going to hear a little bit more from Oliver, including his advice for debate on some core ideological issues that many think compromise isn't possible on. Live in News Control, Lincoln Graves, K2 News.
The following segment is sponsored by AAA Oregon.
Well, K2 is on your side with this week's edition of the Summer Guide, and today we're sharing some of the best places to go camping.
Trillium Lake near Government Camp is a great place to catch spectacular views of Mount Hood, swim, boat, and fish. If you'd rather head to eastern Oregon, visit Wallowa State Park. It's home to hundreds of miles of hiking trails, and it provides tons of opportunities to see wildlife. If glamping is more your thing, Cape Lookout State Park has yurts, cabins, and tent sites.
Kind of allows you to take a big deep breath, doesn't it? For a complete list of camping sites, visit our website, KATU.com. Our summer guide section is dedicated to your summer fun.
Well, this summer weather that we've seen and felt, the hot, dry weather, is causing things like this to happen. This is a live look from the Unico U.S. Bancorp Tower camera. This is right near the St. John's Bridge, down from the University of Portland. You can see that grass fire, the white smoke. This is not an unusual story because of such dry conditions that we've had.
And things aren't getting any better as we look at the long-term forecast, David. We see the hot weather coming back, really hot weather coming back, and no rain in sight, is there?
Not a drop of rain. As a matter of fact, for the entire month of July, now we're, 18 days into it, only 2/100ths of an inch of rain. Again, it's bone dry all across the Pacific Northwest. Bone dry July, very dry June, very dry May, and we are seeing and looking at the consequence of that again, wildfires breaking out all across the Pacific Northwest, including now in the urban area here in Portland. And again, this is bringing back memories of that fire they had a few years ago up on the bluff by U of P. I'm hoping that firefighters get a handle on this quickly, as you can see from our live camera at the Unico U.S. Bancorp Tower in downtown Portland. High temperatures today, fortunately, were cooler than what they were 24 hours ago. Coolest they've been now in about 6 days. 83 out at PDX up in Vancouver. You reached 82 degrees. Had that morning cloud cover, helped a lot keeping the temperatures down. It was 84 for Estacada. Hillsborough topped out at 84, and down in McMinnville today up to 87 degrees there. So what's next? Well, our cool down continues across the region. We'll have daytime highs again tomorrow, upper 70s to low 80s. Now, no rain in the forecast, so our fire danger, both for the urban area, the Willamette Valley, and also now in the Gorge and the east side of the Cascades, moderate to high or very high. And as Steve mentioned at the top of the segment, our heat is returning as early as Sunday, and we could be getting close to triple-digit temperatures by this time next week. So out there right now, sitting at 83, northwest winds at about 7 miles an hour from our camera actually over on the east bank, Esplanade. And as you can see, here's our ridge of high pressure out there. You can see the flow is still onshore, so it's going to allow for some cooler air again to arrive onshore late tonight, bringing some clouds back into Portland and the Willamette Valley for tomorrow on Thursday morning. And much like today, that morning cloud cover will be burning off. Here's the hour-by-hour forecast. You can see there we are tomorrow morning at 7. Cloudy skies for the coast. Some clouds up and down the northern part of the Willamette Valley. They'll burn off by the late morning, early afternoon, rather, giving us fair skies across the area. Again, highs tomorrow, upper 70s to low 80s. We go into Friday, similar deal. Morning clouds give way to afternoon sunshine. And then past there, things begin to warm up towards the weekend and going into the first part of next week. Now, here's the good news this evening. If you don't have AC for the first time in a few days, overnight lows, low to mid-50s for most of the metro area. And tomorrow afternoon highs, upper 70s to low 80s, and a repeat going into Friday as well. Early morning temperatures in the 50s, afternoon highs, mid to upper 70s out there before the heat returns Saturday and certainly by Sunday and going into next Monday. So here's a look at the forecast for you on the coast. Morning clouds, then partly sunny skies, and a little bit cooler tomorrow. Notice Lincoln City at 60. 63 for Astoria, and Newport at 62. Northwest winds about 5 to 15 miles an hour. Now in the valley, morning clouds will give way to partly cloudy skies by the afternoon. You've got west winds 5 to 15. There's Troutdale at 81. Pretty nice tomorrow. 75 for Kelso and Longview. 84 for Salem, and 82 in McMinnville. Our problems in the Gorge will persist tomorrow with the gusty winds. We're talking west winds there, 10 to 20, gust 25 or higher. Tomorrow's high, though, in the Dow's a bit cooler at 85 degrees. degrees. Mostly sunny skies. Tomorrow's high for Hood River at 84 after a early morning start at 55 degrees. And then on the east side of the Cascades, still sunny, still very warm, still bone dry. 90 for Pendleton, 91 for John Day and Burns, and 86 on Thursday in the Bend and Redmond area. Now, tonight here in Portland, 56 for the overnight low. I'll go 79 for tomorrow for our high temperature, 80 on Friday. Not too bad. It's about average for this time of the year. And still pretty pleasant on Saturday at 84. And then that's when things get a little on the warm side again. Sunday at 93, Monday 95, 98 to 100 on Tuesday, and mid-90s into next Wednesday. So a brief cool down before hot temperatures return. And as you can see, Steve, there is no chance of rain over the next 7 days.
Got to get that wind to die down a little bit, too, out there.
At least a couple of days for that.
Dave, thanks.
Choked out by police. Why a Washington man says his more than $500,000 settlement isn't enough.
And get your news and weather updates throughout the day on Amazon Echo devices. It's as easy as saying, Alexa, what's in the news? Instructions on how to set it up at KATU.com.
You can evaluate them. That's great. Evaluate them, identify them, but what resources are there going to be?
This is coming up tonight, brand new at 6. A family dealing with the loss of their father, now left hoping his death and the crime committed against him will serve as a catalyst for change. We hear from them only on K2. That's brand new tonight at 6 o'clock.
Well, a Washington man who sued police and was awarded more than $600,000 says the money's not enough.
Josiah Hunter says he was choked by a police officer after he stopped to help at a car crash in 2014. And as K2's Jennifer Sullivan reports, he and his family are now calling for a change in police culture.
What do I say to mother?
Respect was always a lesson in the Hunter home. Respect teachers, respect superiors, respect the police. When Josiah Hunter went missing in September 2014, his parents searched hospitals and called his friends. His mother was stunned when she found his name on the jail register.
And for what? Because he's standing in the parking lot. That's it.
Josiah says he had bought a cigar from this AM/PM on September 14th, 2014, when two cars crashed a few feet away.
We were just here helping. That was our main goal.
When police arrived, Josiah says he continued to assist, even trying to hand them the alleged DUI driver's wallet. Josiah says the men headed to their car but were stopped by officers.
Blink of eye, he starts choking me out and then starts lifting up.
Josiah and Junior Bosilian were charged with criminal trespassing, resisting arrest, and obstruction, charges that were later dropped. Hunter sued the city of Federal Way for violating his civil rights. Yesterday, a jury awarded the now 25-year-old $640,000 in damages.
Because I wanted justice, and I wanted to make a change, and they need to make a change.
Federal Way Police, in a statement to Como, say, quote, the force used was reasonable under the circumstances. Quote, we are disappointed with the jury's decision in favor of the plaintiff.
That was Jennifer Sullivan reporting, and Federal Way Police say the men interfered with a crime scene, and they're now weighing whether to appeal that jury finding.
Before we go, another live look at the fire in the Dalles. This is 36,000 acres, part of the substation fire. We are monitoring this closely, as well as another fire happening just right near the University of Portland campus. We can see this live from our Unico U.S. Bancorp Tower camera by the St. John's Bridge. Both of these fires we're watching closely.
We are back with more local news in just a half hour, right after World News Tonight with David Muir. Keep it right here on K2. We'll see you soon, folks.